right. Are we live? I think we are. Okay. Just checking on the stream here, but we are going to be reacting to Loudwire's picks for the supposed best metal and rock albums of 2021. And I decided to do this on a whim because somebody posted it in the Discord. Get rid of these freaking ads. Stop seeing this ad. Not interested. um, but yeah, I saw this thumbnail basically, and immediately I was kind of like, oh man, this feels something just fell. This just feels like lazy stuff. Now, I want to preface this really quickly so that I don't come off as an elitist. I don't think my list is necessarily like better. I don't think my list is the list. I will say opinions are totally valid. If they genuinely feel this way, then that's totally fine. But I just look at this and it feels like they took like the top selling or the top talked about albums this year and just threw them all in a list together. And if that's their criteria, I mean, I guess that's fine, but why even make a list then? Because then you can just look at like Billboard or Spotify streams, and so you're like not adding any value. To me, the top 25 should be like personal and curated by a creator who's like passionate about stuff. And I am seeing some stuff on here that looks like they threw in some picks I'm interested in. But that out of the way, let's just get into it. I'm trying to see if they list like a specific criteria, but let's see. Be sure to check out best songs. No, I'm not seeing a criteria unless I glossed over it, but I don't want to belabor this too much. So, first up, man, we got 45 albums, so I'm not going to spend too much time on each one, lest this be like forever long. But yeah, Ice Nine Kills. I'm kind of okay with this, even though I don't agree with it. Like, at least it's something. It's I don't know. I get it. I get it, I guess. Despite my review, or you can check out my extended thoughts on this one, it doesn't feel as kind of insulting as some of the other stuff I've seen, and low on the list. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of okay with that. Let's just move on to Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes with Sticky. I'm not really familiar with this release, so I can't really speak on it. So maybe this is a good pick, maybe it's not. Y'all can let me know in the chat how you feel about that. Just checking in on the chat. Hey, what's up, people who are jumping in? Yeah, Evanescence. Popularity contest, absolutely. This is definitely what this very much feels like. We got Young Blood, or Royal Blood, sorry, with Typhoons. And I have not looked at this whole list yet. Like, I wanted this to be a pure reaction because I could be totally wrong. I'm willing to concede that I could be going into this with the wrong take. But again, despite my very clickbaity thumbnail by design, my purpose is not just to take a crap on Loudwire. I just, that's their, I mean, maybe they tricked me with their thumbnail. I guess they win. They win on that front. Royal Blood, I don't have too much stuff to say about, so I'm going to keep on moving on from there. Rise Against, I actually didn't even know they dropped a new album back in June. Maybe I did, and I just forgot about it. And another one that I haven't really listened to. Again, the rock, I spent so much time listening to metal this year that I did not listen to a lot of anything else, save for like the new Aesop Rock album and a few other things. But I dedicate so much of my time to that. So I can't speak on how good this actually is. And I won't crap on it too much because the fact that like I didn't even know that this was a thing tells me that it wasn't as like mainstreamed as maybe it could have been. So, pick I totally agree with, and I just included on my metalcore list. Employed to Serve with Conquering. Great album. So I'm pleased to see them including some underdogs in here. And in the thumbnail, I did see again at least one thing that I was like, oh, okay, I'm interested to see maybe some of the underdogs they included on here. But to me, this is important to like a top of the year list is that you know, without faking it, you throw in some smaller artists to give them a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, public access. They give them a little bit more of a spotlight so that they're allowed to grow. I think that's pretty key. While She Sleeps, Sleep Society. This is like a super basic bitch record. I'm sorry. Like, it's not bad, but I reviewed it. I think I gave it probably like a C plus or something like that. Perfectly passable metalcore album with some kind of butt rock leanings in it as well. But it's just fine. But top of the year, like, this doesn't even come close to probably my top like 500, I would say, if I'm really getting into that. I'm gonna check the chat. Oh, there's a bunch of people jumping in here. Welcome, welcome. What genre is it? Employed to Serve? They're like metallic hardcore, metalcore. They've got two vocalists, a female vocalist and a male vocalist. They're pretty BA, if you ask me. So yeah, While She Sleeps, I think that's a waste of a good spot. Maneskin, another one I'm not familiar with. Guessing this is a rock album just from the look of it. I could be wrong. It's got a little doomy vibe to the font too. Yeah, I guess it is rock. Rock is dead. So again, another one I didn't listen to, so I can't really comment on that. So I'm not gonna dock them points for that. Same with Bad Flower. That artist name is familiar to me, but not something I listen to. I'm going to focus more on the metal stuff. So Kin from Whitechapel. I can kind of get this one, but I just don't think it was that good of a record. Like, definitely not album of the year material, if you ask me. I really respect that they're continuing to push boundaries and try new things and get creative. That's all. That's all great. I want to double check too to make sure that I didn't really check to make sure that my mic is the right thing. Wait, why does this say Discord? Do I even have this on the right device? What did I do here? Do I sound okay, or do I sound like I'm just coming from some like BS audio? Anyway, discard. The pleasures of doing live stuff. Device not available. What the heck? Should be H5. Okay. Why am I coming through Discord? I don't even have Discord open. What is this? Can I like close that? I haven't done a stream in a while, y'all. Bear with me for a second here. Maybe I'll just turn that all the way down. Okay. Hopefully that's better. That sucks that now I started with shitty audio, apparently. I'll see if the chat has anything to say about this. Sound great, sounds fine. Do I still sound okay? Is that an improvement or is it the same? Y'all just let me know. Now it sounds weird. Ah, frick. Dang it. I should have just left it alone, apparently. Oh, sounds good again? Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Maybe I'll find a way to snip that out. Anyways, Whitechapel. So Whitechapel, yeah, it's I kind of get them being on this list because at least they're doing something different. I respect that. I always like to include as many spots on my list for stuff that's innovative. I just don't think it's as good as people are saying it is. And I still think they haven't quite melded the sounds as well as they are trying to. But I'm curious to continue on. Here's the one from the thumbnail. Jesus, these ads are just so invasive. Here's the one in the thumbnail I was excited to see. So they included See You Space Cowboy with the Romance of Affliction, which is another big underdog release in metalcore right now, mixing in elements of mathcore and pop punk too, and some of the cleans. A lot of connections to Under Oath here. Even Aaron Gillespie of Under Oath does a guest spot on one of the songs. Keith Buckley from Every Time I Die has a guest spot, I believe, on the first track. It's a really solid album. If you love like early 2000s metalcore, this definitely harkens back to that. It's pretty blueprinted to that. If you're familiar with that style, there's nothing really new going on here, but you don't hear a lot of bands like doing that style. Everybody's doing gent, and this is like not that. This is going back to basics, so to speak. So I am glad to see them including that. Dream Theater, it's kind of a basic thing to include, but to be perfectly honest, I almost included it on my own list because as somebody dropping in new to Dream Theater, not that I didn't know Dream Theater, but that I hadn't really ever truly paid attention to them, I really thought this was a great album. Fantastic performances across. It checks all the boxes. I had fun with it. Great musicianship and Also some evolution too, and I found it to be very consistent. Now I know a lot of other reviewers felt differently and really didn't enjoy this album, but I think it's fair to include it on this list, even though I ultimately decided not to. Now this one, I will defend this album in that I think I was the only reviewer who gave this a positive review. Like I actually kind of low key, not even low key. Like I enjoyed this album. I've still been re-listening to it. There are some cringy parts on it. It's definitely not even close to their best, but it's fun. It's a fun, solid industrial album, but it's not album of the year. Like not even close. Again, not even cracking my top 500 by a long shot. I want to check the chat again just to make sure my audio isn't all fudged up. Nobody's saying that, so hopefully we're good. But yeah, this does not belong on this list. There's just no way. I'm shocked. I mean, it's kind of it's a ballsy move, but this again like lends more credence to me that it feels like somebody just looked up like what were the most like mainstream, popular, best-selling, most talked about albums or something, and this landed on here. But yeah, that's a waste of a good spot. Like there's so many good albums out this year. Why would you put that in there? Regardless of if you enjoyed it or not. Fear Factory, Aggression Continuum, another album I really enjoyed. I think it's probably in like their top 3, at least top 5 albums personally, but not album of the year. Not in top 45. It might make my top 100 if I did that, but I don't know. I just feel weird about it being here because it's at the end of the day, it's kind of just another Fear Factory album. It's done better than a lot of their more recent ones, but album of the year, I don't think so. Like it's pretty formulaic stuff, and it's got some downsides to it as well. I didn't listen to the Melvins album. Never been a huge like Melvins guy. No particular reason, but just another one I can't truly comment on. If anybody in the chat has strong feelings about that one, let me know. This Foo Fighter album, Foo Fighters, the Lone Rangers. I liked this album, but I don't think it's album of the year. This is another one that very strongly feels like, well, Foo Fighters came out with an album this year, so clearly they need to be on the list. And to their credit, they're one of the last remaining like true rock bands that actually still have a big audience, so I kind of get that. But I haven't really re-listened to it. I enjoyed that it's like kind of a David Bowie album, and I do enjoy David Bowie, so it's kind of a different one for them. But it's definitely not an album I would listen to a ton. It's more of like an anomaly to me. It's definitely better than what was that, like Highways to whatever. That album kind of sucked. I'm still a big fan of what's the one with Wasting Light on it? I'm blanking on it, but to me, I think that was album of the year material. Not like number one, but strong stuff. I don't know if anybody in the chat has an additional stuff. How's Foo Fighters' boring new album? Yeah, it is a little boring. But if you're a Bowie fan, I think you could enjoy it. Maybe the album was Wasting Light. I'm stupid. Yeah, not close to their best. Not even, and definitely not in top albums of the year. Come on. Dirty Honey, didn't listen to this. Miles Kennedy, didn't listen to that. So again, I want to throw out, because some people will be like, how are you going to say that the Loudwire is basic? You haven't even listened to these albums. I specialize in metal, okay? I didn't listen to these albums. They may be incredible and may add a lot to this list that I'm missing out on. I totally concede that point. Mammoth, WVH, not familiar with them either. I'm not sure like how big a lot of these groups are either. So they could be like underground picks and I'm missing out. Aaron Jones, no idea. Terrible album cover. But the music might be great, so I don't know. Oh, Chevelle. Chris really liked this album. He reviewed it on the website in written form. You should check out more of his stuff because he covers a lot of things I don't. Kind of wish I'd done a video on it too, but it was a good album. But again, album of the year? Like, no. No. It's not even one of their best albums. To me, Sci-Fi Crimes is number one for them. But I do enjoy me some Chevelle, but it's kind of like it's just very basic kind of music. Like it's kind of fast food music in a way. Like you're not gonna come away. You know what to expect going into a Chevelle record, and that's generally what you get. And for me, most of those albums don't deserve to be on this list. Speaking of which, this doesn't deserve to be on this list either. Another album I enjoyed a little bit more than my fellow reviewers, but I still gave it, I want to say like a B minus or a flat B. Like it's not great by any means. It had some fun moments on it. A lot of people complained about the production too. It's got some jams on it that I enjoyed. The vocal performances were pretty strong, but album of the year again, like in the top 25. Are you kidding me? Like can we do better than this? Like dig dig in a little deeper, please. Come on. Like this just it feels so lazy to me. That's the frustrating thing. Is it's not so much that I disagree with their picks, and if the author of this wants to reach out to me and have a conversation, like they could be a perfectly cool person and they just genuinely loved all these albums, and that's fine. But again, to me it just feels very thrown together based on charts. And again, if that's the criteria you want to use, fine, but I think that's a really lame way to do your list. Ooh, look at that. Frozen Soul, Crypt of Ice. Okay, so solid pick here. So I know a lot of people love this album. I haven't seen as many people shouting it out now that the year is closing, but around the time it came out and like a month or two after, people could not shut up about this album. I was kind of lukewarm on it. I didn't really see what the fuss was about, but I feel like I was the only channel that didn't talk about it in some way, shape, or form. This definitely felt like the big buzz, like death metal album at the time when it came out. You got Bolt Thrower, Worship. Oh no, we're going to move on. Oh no. Oh no. No, no, no. This cannot be. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say to this. Like, Exodus? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, another album that's not bad, but I gave it like what did I give it? Like a C plus or something like that. Again, you can check out my review for full thoughts on this. But this isn't the list of like the most okay, not bad albums of the year. This is best albums of the year, and you included Persona Non Grata. It's got a few jams on it, but it's just a basic bitch pumpkin spice latte thrash album. And if that's what you want, fine. But best of the year, come on. Come on. I see Jackson Rainey's supporting Exodus. There are moments where it goes hard. It goes hard, but boomer thrash. I love that. Just Corey Feldman core. Yeah, I saw you say that, I think, on my review. Loudwire's full of normies. Yes, this is a very normie list. And again, I don't really like using that word because it makes me feel very elitist, and I don't like elitism. And again, people can look at my lists and have the same critiques of it, criticisms. Like, that's what opinions are for. This is all just opinion. But again, like, that feels so lazy to include this on this list, because whether you think it goes hard or not, I just have a hard time believing you actually think this belongs on the best albums of the entire year, in a year that was strong. There were some really good albums. All right, Rivers of Nile, The Work, divisive album, but I agree with this one. I really do. I loved this album. Another album that definitely like had some balls. It pushed boundaries for better or worse. Some people didn't like that it wasn't like Where the Owls Know My Name, but I loved that they could have phoned it in and just done Owls 2, and they didn't. Like they just doubled down and went for the weird and the wild, and I think it works. It's very experimental. It's very weird, but I was so sucked into it. I could not stop listening to it. And I love the message too. Like, it's a very motivating, introspective album. I love the industrial and electronic elements that they threw in. I kind of hope that they just do a straight up industrial metal album at some point. I think that would be rad as hell. Cause, Focus in particular, that song is awesome. It reminds me of listening to like 90s radio, and it's like a mixture of like Tool and Nine Inch Nails like thrown together, and so that definitely appeals to me. But yeah, I'd say solid pick. It's still, a little, you could call it basic though, because everybody was talking about this album. Everybody was like on board with wanting to chat about it. So I don't give them a ton of props for like, wow, I can't believe they included it. I'm like, I'm not surprised at all, but I still agree with it anyways, even though a lot of people wouldn't be. Archspire better be on here. Yeah, I'll be. A Lion's Daughter has not shown up yet. Archspire has not shown up with. I also hope that Archspire. And by the way, so just a little pause here. My best death metal of the year just went up yesterday. If you have not watched that, please watch that. It's doing pretty well. And then my best metalcore of the year list went up before that, which is doing okay, but not as well. So check that out. And then tomorrow will be best deathcore. 2 days after that will be best black metal, and then 2 days after that will be best albums of the entire year. So I'm hoping y'all stick around for those. I will have a playlist that includes all of those videos in it too. And for reference, if somebody's watching this later, I recorded this on the 12th of December. Let's move on. Oh, another one that does not shock me at all to be on this list. I don't agree. But again, like a lot of these albums are just albums that like everybody was talking about. It's like, well, if everyone was talking about it, then clearly it's best of the year. Not best of the year. I still, even though I criticized it a lot, I still give it like a B+. Like, I think it's a good album. And I think Ginger is a very talented band. I think Macro is a better album. I would be in more agreement with that making a best of the year list. But this is just a very meandering, kind of unfocused record that falls short for me. I think they're capable of better. So it's not me bashing Ginger, even though their fan base is toxic as fuck. But yeah, best of the year and near the top 20 too. Like I just can't agree. But I don't hate that. Another one, I'm not surprised to see this at all. I know some people are including this on their best of list. Some people love this. I know Quest for Metal said he really loved this. Me and Pair of Jeans were just bored by it in particular. I find this to be a boring album. I think it might be their worst, in my opinion. I think it may be their worst because all of their other albums have at least songs on them that I'd want to revisit and go back to. This one, not a one. Like even Pushing the Tides, which is probably the one song. There's like 2 or 3 songs on here I'm okay with, but none of them are like so good that I even like care enough to revisit them. I'm fine never hearing even my favorite songs on this album ever again. It wasn't for me, I guess. It's overlong, it's bloated, it's boring, and that's just my opinion. I can respect people's different opinions. I had a lot of comments on my video kind of sharing why they enjoyed it, and that's totally fine. So I don't hate this pick, but in the top 20, again, it just feels like, oh, Mastodon dropped a new album, so clearly they have to be in the top 20. Like, they just have to. That's so annoying. Ginger is Simpcore. Where's the Tatiana Simps? Oh, what's up? Quest for Metal is in here. Mastodon, I can understand. Probably be in my top 20. But see, that's fair. Like, I get some people really enjoyed it. That's more of like an opinion piece for me. It's not something where some of these other picks, I'm like, again, what did we see already? Yeah, Exodus, to me, the most insulting so far are probably Exodus, Evanescence, and Foo Fighters to an extent, and Ministry. Ministry, like those are the most, like, I'm genuinely offended that they included them. I'm not offended that they included Mastodon. Another basic bitch pick. It's a good album, okay? But I just got finished saying this to somebody who commented on my best death metal albums. Spoiler, this is not on it. It was on my best of the like first 6 months because I hadn't like gotten as many albums by then, and it got pushed out really quickly. But somebody was like, no Cannibal Corpse, and I'm like, Cannibal Corpse is fast food death metal. All right, it's great for when you want it. It's delicious. It's satisfying, but it ain't gonna win any culinary awards. Okay, and Cannibal Corpse to me should almost never be on best of the year because they're just doing the same thing over and over again. I think the one album there's a handful of albums in their discography. I did a tier list, by the way, if you want to check that out for my thoughts on all of them. There's like maybe 2 or 3 albums in their discography that I could maybe see making an end of year list depending on what else came out that year. But this is just, it's so basic. It's so basic. It goes hard and it's a fun album. I bought it. Like I bought a physical copy. It's on my shelf. But it's just not top 20 material? No, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Mad Mike, it's in your top 10. Mad Mike, basic bitch confirmed. Basic bitch confirmed. Should have been top 10. Maybe I'm in the minority here. Okay, a few of you are agreeing with me, but yeah, they're iconic, but that doesn't matter. I don't care if they're best. Here's my rant, okay? My soapbox rant. Best of the year, best albums of the year should be the albums that truly stood out from the rest in the entire year. Like there should be something special about them. Otherwise, it is just a popularity contest. Like I don't want to see Cannibal Corpse, Mastodon, Opeth, Gojira just getting on the list just because that's who they are. That's literally the reason I started Metal Trenches, the channel. I was so sick of hearing about how Metallica could put out they could take a shit in a digipack and it would be the best-selling album of the year. That annoys the fuck out of me to no end. I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm not okay with that. And again, that's not to say that those bands can't make top of the year, because there are some big name bands that I included in my top 10 this year, but it was because they put out an album I felt was worthy of that praise. So again, if the authors of this really truly felt that these albums were unbiasedly worthy of that praise, fine. But name recognition ruins everything, I think. Like, I'd be really interested if some of these albums dropped without the band name attached to them, and they pulled like a Stephen King where he wrote stuff under like that other name, and would they be as successful? I don't think they would be. I truly don't. So that's just my thinking. Yeah, people who didn't care to listen to new bands. That's what it feels like. Metallica also iconic. Yeah, they're iconic. There's no disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. But iconic band end of the year list should not make. That's that's just my thinking on this. All right, we should move on. To double check if there's any other major comments here. Metallica Stand Rock, really annoyed. Soul, Metal Trenches. Are you going to do a tier list on Iron Maiden? No, I think the moment has passed for that. You kind of need to catch the wave with those. I'm sure it would still do well, but honestly, I don't like Maiden enough to, I'm not excited to do it. And that's part of why I didn't do it. I'm just I like Maiden, especially their older albums, but I'm probably not going to do it. Maybe at some point. I did tell Quest for Metal, maybe we could collab that or something at some point. Discover new bands when no one is even recommending. Yes, that's why I like doing what I'm doing on the channel, because I'll use the big names to draw people in, but ultimately my goal is always, how do I expose people to something they've never heard before? My favorite comments on my videos are, dude, you introduced me to The Lion's Daughter. You introduced me to, this band, and I'd never heard of them before. Now they're my favorite band, and that's exciting. Yeah, Mad Mike, if you genuinely felt like that was one of your top 10, then that's fine. That's fair. I just want to feel like people are genuinely thinking critically about this and not just going with name recognition. So off of my soapbox. Okay, another one I really agree with, although I feel like it should be way higher personally. Between the Buried in Me, Colors 2. Another one you could argue there's definitely name recognition here. And I went into this recognizing that I have bias with this band. However, I will throw out there that their last two, the two half album and Coma Ecliptic, I enjoy those albums, but they didn't make my year-end lists. They didn't even come close. So I feel like I've just gotten better at trying to separate myself as much as possible from my nostalgia and fandom. Between the Buried in Me have a great discography. In fact, I have a video that's going to be kind of getting into that at some point. And I do have a tier list that you can check out, the updated one now, for my thoughts on all of them. But I don't think every album in their discography is worthy of best of that year by a long shot. This one is. It's so innovative. They went hard on all the stuff they've been experimenting with over the years. They're bringing it in there. They're doing it better. The production is amazing. The performances are incredible. Like just that drum solo alone on that one single is seeing that live too. Oh my gosh, so good. And it's just fun. Like I could listen to this I could listen to this on repeat over and over and over again and never get tired of it. All right. What else we got? Vola. I know a lot of people were talking about this when it came out. I enjoyed it. Didn't love it. Album of the year, I don't know. I don't have like strong feelings about this one. It feels like kind of an odd pick for the top 20, but maybe other people in the audience are feeling. Yeah, Automata 1 and 2 from BT Bam wouldn't have made my year-end list for sure. You're gonna laugh at Bullet for My Valentine. Dude, I've seen some people including it, and I'm just like shocked at that. Where's Psycho Sinner? Vola was great. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about that one because I only listened. Oh, yay! Look at that! Look at that! Yay! Loudwire, boys, you did good. You did good on this one. Who is this from? JD? I don't know who JD is, but you done good on this one. You didn't done goof on Archspire. So Bleed the Future. It made my top 10 death metal albums of the year. Almost made my top 10 overall of the year. But ultimately got beaten out by a few things. But man, this is, I think, their best album so far. It's so fun. I love how tight it is too. Like they don't like do these big bloated albums. Like their albums last as long as they need to. And I want to say this album's like 30 minutes, maybe not even. And it just like doesn't waste a single second of it. There is no filler, all killer, to use an overused phrase, but it's just so true. Canada representing hard. And I will continue to say it is Archspire. It is not Archspire. It annoys me to no end. It shouldn't annoy me, but you can look up videos when the band members who made the band say it. It's Archspire with the ch sound, not the k sound. P, I say to you plebes who pronounce it differently. Silent Planet. Been hearing some good stuff about this. I listened to a little bit of it. I liked the singles. I didn't listen to it a ton because I didn't get if I don't get a promo of it, I generally just don't have enough time for it because I'm on to the next thing. But what I did listen to it once all the way through, and I listened to the singles quite a bit. It's a banger. But it's kind of a very formulaic, sorry, I just hit my mic, like genty album. That's just fine. Top 15? I don't think so. Not even top 100, I don't think. If you're doing a best like metalcore list, I think I'd be more okay with seeing it on there, but it feels like overkill. But again, I haven't listened to it enough to truly like have an opinion that I feel truly strong about. Era, more metalcore here. I saw a lot of people complaining that this was not on my best metalcore of the year, and it was a good one. It made my best metalcore of the first 6 months. It's a solid album, but it didn't really stick with me. Like, it didn't really linger with me like some of the other albums I listened to this year. And so when that happens, it's immediately kind of disqualified. Sometimes I'll go back and listen to it again to see if it like rejuvenates my feelings. But this one, not so much. Not a terrible pick. Converge, lots of metalcore here. Although you can't even call this Converge album metalcore. Totally agree with this making so high on the list. Probably should be in the top 10, honestly, but I'll take top 13. Another ballsy album, super innovative, super different for them. A move they didn't have to make. A move that some fans are definitely not happy about. Question 2, do you plan on making a top list of best EPs? No, probably not. I did enough lists already, and I'm feeling a little burned out. Plus, I feel like people don't watch the EPs list as much, so it's like kind of a time spent versus like audience engagement and what they actually want kind of issue. But anyways, great album, very creative, very interesting, very engaging. I was definitely weirded out the first time I heard it. Like I was like, I don't even know how I feel about this, but those often end up being like some of my favorite albums. So props to GH for including that one. Oh no, Sleep Token. So many people were talking about this album. I just don't get it. I know the Metal Meltdown doesn't get it either. He got, talk about toxic fan bases too. I wouldn't have expected it, but he got some of the worst comments of the year. I think even a death threat from this fan base for giving this a negative review. I just ignored it because to me that was the proper response. Was I cared so little about it that I didn't even talk about it. But yeah, he gave it a negative review, and the fans were none too pleased. But I just don't get it. Like, I have the same opinion that he does. I find it very boring. It's a chore to get through, but I also know a lot of people really like this album. I'm interested if the chat had some strong thoughts on this one. Uh-oh. Sleep Token absolutely blow. Really? Question mark, exclamation point. Sleep Token, truly an album that made me sleepy. Okay, so it seems like most of the people watching right now agree with my opinion, but there are those out there that absolutely adored this album or are like really have a hard on for the band. And again, that's fine, but I don't agree with this one. Even if I'm trying to be unbiased of just my own personal response to it, I just don't see that there was anything special happening on the album worthy of this. Same with Trivium. I know some of my fellow reviewers are including this. I think Quest for Metal included this on at least one of his lists. I think Pair of Jeans might have too, because he loves him some Trivium. I thought it was okay. Yeah, it's fine. I did do a tier list that my intro to that tier list I still love is you're gonna hate it. Like that was my introduction because I knew that the big time fans, because I'm not a big Trivium fan, but instrumentally, it's pretty solid. If pretty blueprinty again, like there's nothing truly special happening on this album, but I do think performance wise it's one of their better albums. But once more, Matt's vocals are I just don't think they're very good. And particularly on this album, there were a lot of parts that I found actually really grating and annoying. And so, yeah, this high, I don't think so. Didn't make my top metalcore, wouldn't even crack my top 50 metalcore albums of the year, I think. And it wasn't that strong of a year for metalcore. It was pretty good, but not as good as some past years. I don't know if anyone has chat thoughts about that. See, Trivium is awesome. Trivium is very hit or miss. Some people saying this is a great choice. Funny, Trivium is still the same thing. Trivium write the same song over and over. I kind of feel that way. Not entirely. They're a little bit more inventive than some of them. Someone said Trivium number 2 album of the year. Okay. Some people this seems pretty split. Some people saying mediocre, cookie cutter. Other people saying yes, some of the best of the year. Somebody said Matt's awful live. I've not seen that, but I'm not horribly surprised. I do feel for the guy because he seems like just like kind of a cool dude, and I know he like blew out his vocal cords and had to like retrain them and heal them again. So props for that. But I just never have been a big fan of his vocals. Gojira. So this is another like easy to just throw on the list. It's like if Gojira drops an album, they're gonna be in the top 10. But I agree with this one. I do think Fortitude reaches the heights of this. But again, this was another very divisive album that I'd say about like 50% of the fans hated and 50% of the fans loved, and I did not see a lot of in between. I think it's a fantastic album. I think it's better than Magma, which some people are none too pleased about me saying. Magma, that was definitely not top even 100 material for me. But I love some of the creative choices they made. I love how diverse it is, and it's just interesting. And it was another one I just couldn't stop listening to. I had a lot of fun with that. Thoughts from the chat here. Okay, album of the year material. Understands popularity contest, but IMO, this album is amazing. Yeah, should have been higher. I could agree with that. Way better than Magma. Gojira, another good choice. Loved earlier. Magma, greater than Fortitude. No, Blackwater, you are wrong. You are wrong. But no, a lot of people agree with you on that. I know Quest for Metal definitely agrees with you on that one for sure. Song's better live. I could see that too. The chant, their worst song. I kind of like the chant. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun little like chill crowd pleaser moment. I really like this album. Never bettered Mars to Sirius. Of course. Like they'll never probably top those albums, but solid choice. I'll allow it. As if my opinion matters that much. That's another one from GH. So props to you on that. Oh, but then this higher than that? Who did this one? Who's that? But JD, so you done fucked. You fucked up again, JD. Come on now. You got in my good graces with what was it? Between the Buried and Me. I can't remember which one it was. And this higher than Fortitude, higher than Converge, higher than Archspire, higher than Colors fucking 2. Are you shitting me? Again, opinions valid, but it does feel like I'm sure this album sold better than some of these albums. In fact, I should look at the charts and the sales for these, but this feels like feels like such a lazy decision. It's not a terrible album. I do think it's one of their worst in a pretty strong discography. I enjoyed doing that tier list and kind of going back through all of them. It's not their worst, but it's pretty low. It's overproduced. I still will call it Imagine Dragons core to the end of time, because that's just what it feels like from the production to the orchestration. I like some of the symphonic moments. Those are pretty cool. But they've done that better before too. Like, to me, Lost Forever, Lost Together is like their best. It's their peak. It's their pinnacle. And they have some symphonic parts on that I think are, even though they're not as well produced, they're better than the song-wise. And it's just bloated. It's long. They should have trimmed it down. It just feels, to use that Family Guy quote, it insists upon itself. It feels like it's trying way too hard to be epic and just falls flat. I am an Architects fan, but I did not like this album. I don't think it belongs anywhere near top 10. Wouldn't crack my top 500, I don't think. Thoughts from the chat. Let's see. Top 10 must be Smoking Something. What's next, Atreyu or A Day to Remember? Oh my god, if A Day to Remember makes this list, especially higher than some of these, I will shit a brick, honestly. Oh yeah, somebody saw what the next pick is. I'll get to it. Yeah, why? Not a single black metal album. That's a good point. I'm not surprised though. Loudwire's not going to pick black metal. They're way too basic for that shit. Although to be fair, I'm not sure. I don't think my top 10 metal albums has any black metal, but I will be doing again a pure black metal list that I hope people enjoy. It's definitely a mix of traditional black metal and more like post-black, black gaze kind of stuff, which I know the hardcore black metal fans out there are going to be pissed about, but fuck them. It's my list. They can make their own. Albums age like milk, in my opinion. Architects albums kind of their own take on Bring Me the Horizons. That's the spirit. I could kind of see that. You nailed it. Sales equals popularity, so must be better. Yeah, I think, unfortunately, some people are thinking this way. Curious to see if DSO will be on the list. ADTR is next. Dude, I will laugh so hard. I might end the stream if A Day to Remember is on this list. And again, I'm a Day to Remember fan, but that's one of the worst. That may be the worst album of the year, I think. A Day to Remember. Terrible. Lots of comments on this one. Yeah, no Carcass so far. I think Carcass may end up on here because they're a pretty big name. What else is missing? All right, I should move on. Yes, so next is Halloween. And I don't disagree with this one. Didn't make my top 10, but especially like even as I get to have that fun, unique perspective of this is another band that I've been aware of for decades, but just never really paid attention to, mostly because I think that their band name is corny as hell. Like Halloween is just the dumbest band name if you ask me. But this album's fantastic. This was my first time listening to a Halloween album all the way through, and I gotta say, I loved it. I went in expecting not to like this, especially as somebody who doesn't really like power metal. I don't really like bands that do newer heavy metal, like traditional heavy metal in a modern style. I'm not as big into that. But yeah, it's great. And to have all three vocalists on it, the guitar work is amazing. And this band is, I think, 40 plus years old now, and they're still killing it. Like, I can't truly say this is one of their best albums because I still haven't gone back and like re-listened to their earlier material. But based on how strong this is, I feel like it very well might be. And great album art too. I know Quest for Metal included it in his best album arts of the year. So yeah, wouldn't include it in mine just because stylistically it's not something I would listen to a ton, but it is a very strong album, but it's also a big name. So, thoughts on this? Let's talk about Psycho Sinner now. Halloween, I agree with. Halloween, yeah. Most people looks like... Yeah, most people agreeing with this. I don't see... 80s is the decade of corny. Yeah, absolutely, but there are some gems. There are some gems in there, too. Yeah, it seems like I'm not seeing people in the comments, like, really getting pissed off about this choice. What the fuck is this? I don't even know what this is. So another one I can't comment in the top 10. An emotionally charged post-hardcore masterpiece. I do like me some post-hardcore. If it's anything like Touche Amore kind of stuff. This says, taking a cue from My Chemical Romance. They're a Welsh band. Maybe I'll check this out. I don't know. Anyone in the chat heard this album? Yeah, I think the chat has come to a standstill. I've not even heard of this album. I've never seen this album art before. So maybe props to them for throwing me a curveball and actually like doing some research, finding something that nobody else will have on their list. So props to them for that. Again, I know my thumbnail on this video is super clickbaity, but it's by design. It's just it's the cost of entry, y'all. That's just how the YouTube economy works. But ultimately, I don't even like hate Loudwire as much as I know some other people do. There are websites that I hate way more than Loudwire. Like, let's be real. A cover to an album I didn't hate, but the album itself pretty bad. The Pretty Reckless Death by Rock and Roll, number fucking 6 on their list. Oh, and I just spoiled the next one. Awful, just awful. I hated this album. I didn't listen to the whole thing, to be fair, to be totally honest, but what I heard of it, I just cannot stand. Poppy did not show up. That EP I would have considered throwing on here. Poppy will probably show up. Some people saying, we'll see. Hopefully the EP, I didn't really like what I heard of the full-length album, but that EP was great. I just threw up in my mouth. Yeah, lovely cover to look at. I'm not going to lie. I'm not made of stone. I'm but a man. But not a good enough excuse to put this at number 6 from LS, who I haven't seen them doing like really good picks that I've pointed out. Let's go to Iron Maiden. This one just still... I know Quest for Metal really enjoyed this album. I know some people are raving about it. But to me, this does feel like another legacy act that, of course, they dropped a new album. They have to be in the top 10. It feels very much that way to me. I hated every second I listened to of this album. I couldn't even get all the way through it, which is another reason I didn't do an album ranking, because I'll bet they have albums that are... I have listened to all their classics. I haven't listened to a lot of their later albums, so I'm willing to bet there are albums that are worse than this. So I'm like, if I hate this one, then that is going to be a chore. And I don't want to do a video just to do a video. Like, I want to find some way to enjoy it, which is why I feel like a collab would be more fun. But yeah, to me, this is nowhere near any of my lists. Never want to listen to it again. Kind of a cool album cover. But I know I'm maybe in the minority on that. I know some people really enjoyed it. Yeah, some people say hated Senjutsu, not my thing. Somebody said Pretty Reckless, not bad. But yeah, not top 10 though. And above those other albums, again, Pretty Reckless over Converge, over Colors 2, over Gojira. Like, no. I have not seen Lingua Ignota. Oh, did I see the drama? Yeah. I try to stay away from drama on this channel as much as possible. Like, I hate that situation because I'm a fan of both of them. Daughter's last album made my top 10 of the last decade, I think. It might have even been like in the top 3. I'm trying to remember if you watch that video. My top 100 of the decade, You Won't Get What You Want, was in there. So it's kind of like seeing your parents getting a divorce in a way, but I'm not going to get into that here. And it's not my place. Like, I always consider it's like, that's a personal issue between them, the courts, the police. You know, I don't know them personally. I wasn't there. So it's really none of my business. But yeah, it sucks. They made a typo and put it at number 5 instead of number 1. Okay, so some people supporting Senjutsu, some people saying not album of the year. Last good album was AMOLAD which Mad Mike, I don't even know what that stands for because I'm so behind on my Iron Maiden. Have you heard Brave New World? I've heard of them, but I haven't listened to them, I don't think. Or oh wait, is that a Maiden album? I think that is a Maiden album. See, that just shows like what a normie I am when it comes to Iron Maiden. But personally, I think that people who listen to Iron Maiden religiously are normies. So there's that. No, I'm just kidding. I liked Razor Fist review. Yeah, Razor Fist did a great review. I know people like really hate Razor Fist for some fair reasons, but he really did do a really good review of that album, and he does some good content when he's not going all in on political takes, I would say. Even though I don't always disagree with him on those either, but that's a whole other topic for another video maybe. Mixed reaction, disappointing. Yeah, a lot of people said Bruce's vocals are not very good on this album. Of all the boomer metal acts, they're still going strong. Judas Priest is doing way better. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing too. I didn't even really listen to... I listened to some of that new Judas Priest album, and yeah, I enjoyed that definitely more than what I was hearing on this. Mixed bag, very sad indeed. Given Daughter's lyrics, worst of the worst. Iron Maiden, worst of the worst. Now that's a spicy take. Maiden album... Okay, kind of getting... Yeah, Metal Mythos is a great series on... Razor Fist is not a purely political channel. I think his political videos tend to get the most traction because they piss the most people off, but he still does reviews and other non-political content. So I don't really hate people. I hate specific things that they do. So if somebody does a really shitty video, I'll hate that. Oh, no. This can't be real. Okay, now I'm feeling like this is just a troll list. Number 4, again, above Gojira, Converge, Between the Buried and Me. What else have we got at this point? Like, even some of the albums I didn't like. I had fun with certain songs on this album. I had a lot of fun reviewing it and putting that video together. I get why people enjoy it. Number 4 of the entire fucking year. This just tells me, like, again, that this is about... name recognition, numbers. This is a different person, though, PT. Haven't seen them pop up on some of these other ones yet. So I guess it's hard, too, when you have a bunch of different people throwing the list together. It's like, how do you order that? But still, somebody should have had the good sense to say, like, man, that's upsetting to me. It's genuinely upsetting to me to see this even on the list, much less in the top 5. What the fuck? Like, oh my gosh. And I like Limp Bizkit. I'm not going to lie. I unironically enjoy Significant Other. I like $3 Bill Y'all. When I did my tier list, I actually had fun going back and listening to like Chocolate Starfish and all of it. I didn't hate doing that. But, oh my god, that is so upsetting. Man, the chat's going fucking nuts right now. I can't even read all this. If people are watching this after the fact, you can catch the replay. Loudwire, stop propping up legacy acts. I know! Like, I gave them some props that they did include some smaller groups in here. And shouted some people out, but... then they ended up wasting... I feel like they've wasted like half the slots at this point. There are at least 10 albums on this list that I feel like I would nuke into oblivion and open up those spots for way better stuff that came out this year. Like, just if Carcass isn't on this list, but they included Limp Bizkit, like, that's fucked. That's so fucked. Alright, moving on. How long have I been streaming anyways? I don't even know. Oh, it's been like an hour. Jesus, I didn't mean to do it that long. All right, let's keep going. Turnstile, an album I didn't really listen to. Poster rock band. Another one from PT. PT, you have zero respect for me at this point. Like, if I ever figure out what your initials stand for, I'll know to watch for it in any article and immediately have the opposite opinion that you do. I don't know Turnstile that well. I know they're pretty big. Some people were talking about this album, but I can't speak on it. So there's one of your top 3. You know, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. Some people said, yes, Turnstile. Such a perfect record. Okay. More 90s post-hardcore. Yeah, I know they're kind of a big name, but Okay. Chat, you've convinced me. I'll have to go listen to this album. It came out in August. I kind of remember it coming out and I just sort of ignored it. I do love post-hardcore, especially 90s post-hardcore. So are we talking like um are we talking like Rollins band, like Fugazi kind of sound, or are we still talking more like kind of Touche Amore style? Yeah, a lot of people saying good pick. Some people disagreeing, but yeah, some people saying top 20, top 3, no. But fun and very interesting. So yeah, I'll definitely give it a listen. Number 2, Every Time I Die. Okay. I think that's too high. It made my top metalcore albums easily. I'm also another band with drama going on that I'm super bummed about. Fortunately, it's not as controversial drama as the Lingua Ignota Daughters thing, but yeah, number 2 of the year though overall, it's a really good album. It may even be one of their best. It's continuing to creep up my list. Another tier list I strongly recommend checking out because this is one of my all-time favorite bands. One with like a flawless discography. So for me to say it's one of their best, I don't hate this pick, but I think it's too high. Number 2 feels too high because at the end of the day, it's still, aside from a few kind of experimental things they did here, like Thing with Feathers is a really cool song that's different from anything they did. It almost sounds more like a Radiohead song, but overall it's a pretty basic metalcore album that just like goes really hard and does the blueprint like better than anyone else did this year. So like the pick, I just think it's too high. I don't know how other people are feeling about this. Everybody's saying Carcass. Did I spoil it? I haven't seen yet. What's number 1? No Carcass, y'all. Carcass is not on this list. Instead, Eternal Blue from Spiritbox. Which, speaking of basic metalcore, and this isn't a purely metalcore album, I don't feel fully comfortable calling it that. This is such a basic album. It's good. Again, I think I gave it like a B+. I enjoy listening to it. I'll continue to re-listen to it. There are some really great songs on here that I gave strong props to in my review. And in the lead up, their marketing was really smart. They really positioned themselves well, but the hype did not. The album didn't live up to the hype, if you ask me. I know a lot of people will probably be including this on their list. I didn't even include it in my top 10 metalcore albums of the year. It was close. I'd probably put it in my top 20. But number 1 of the entire year. There are some missteps on this album. Number 1 to me should be like a near perfect album. It should be like flawless, or as close to flawless as possible. It should be like a straight up 10 out of 10, unless it was a really bad year. This is not a 10 out of 10 album. It's a strong album. It's above average album. I really like Spiritbox. I think all the members are very talented, but Herculean effort. I think this is just like people who got too caught up in the hype train. So I don't hate it for a top 45. Like, I think it's fair to include it on a top 45, but number 1, fuck no. Especially when we're talking, you included Limp Bizkit, but you did not include Carcass. That's fucking wild. That is wild to me. I know some people might be dropping off. I'm going to continue talking for a little bit, but if people are rewatching or they're dropping off, please do go watch my best death metal of the year, my best metalcore of the year, and await the later lists. I'm dropping my best of the albums, best of the whole year list a little bit later than everybody else, which worries me a little bit. I've been nervous every day, like, shit, am I going to miss the wave and I'm not going to get like a lot of response from this? So please do turn out to see those. But yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm going to keep talking for a minute and kind of look at the chat here. But it's like flying now. Somebody said feminist pick. I think that's a little hard. Loudwire blocked. Oh my God. No, y'all gotta slow down. Yeah, so many people were waiting for Carcass. I almost feel like that they forgot it. Like, I'll bet they published this, and that just feels like such a miss. Because again, they're a big name. So I feel like they're gonna publish this and be like, oh shit, we forgot Carcass. What Spiritbox number 1. No, it's so boring. What? Question mark. Nice. So some split. Some people like this. Or are you fucking kidding me? It's not. Boring, lame, most overrated album of the year. I would kind of agree with that. That's not, and remember, overrated just means it's got too much praise. That doesn't mean it's bad. I enjoy the album, but I think it's super overrated. Super overrated. And I got so many angry comments, even though I gave it a B plus. Like, come on. If you can't handle a B plus, then you're a simp. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I do like Spiritbox and their new album, but come on, Loudwire, no Carcass. I know, seriously. Didn't hate Spiritbox. It's all right. I like the song with Sam Carter. Yeah, dude, that song with Sam Carter is the best Architect song that wasn't on that Architect's album. Like that, I wish the rest of their album sounded like that because he gave that his all, whereas the album feels very not great to me. Number 1 album of the year for sure. Okay, some people like it. Need a bottle of vodka to process this. Had some value, like all the Rolling Stones lists. No Carcass, Dave Mustaine. Let's turn Loudwire into a corporal jigsaw quandary. I feel dumber. I like the album, but the EPs are better. Yes, the EPs are definitely better than the album. Go listen to Torn Arteries by Carcass. Yes, if you have not already. Great album. Could never live up to the hype. Yeah, they built such a monumental hype up that. Whoever wrote this article must also work at BuzzFeed. Yes, dude. BuzzFeed, way worse than Loudwire. I don't know if BuzzFeed has a list up. I'd be curious to look up. Quest for Metal says this is the worst list he's ever seen. They seriously put Architects and Ministry over, yeah. List is garbage. Some good picks, but some bad picks too. Hardly any underground stuff. Yep. That's upsetting to me too. Real music nerds don't care about this kind of album list. Carcass is number 1. Metal Trenches chat box for sure. Yeah, it seemed like the chat is like overwhelmingly in favor of Carcass here. Overrated by people who don't listen to metal much, but overhated by many more who do. Shouldn't be top 10, but better than Limp Bizkit. I could agree with that. What are your top 10 albums of the year? Well, you're just going to have to wait because that will be out in a few days. I still have a few more genre lists to put up, but it will be up soon, and I hope you all watch that. No, you guys have to wait. There's a 0 spot above Spiritbox where they put Carcass. That would be funny if they did that. Nope. None to. No luck over that. Mastodon was on the list, which I disagreed with. I thought it was way too high, but it was in the, what was it in, guys? Top 20? Like number 19, somewhere around there. No prog metal albums, which is insane. Well, arguably some of those are kind of proggy. It was a strong year for prog. You know, it was a very, very strong year for prog. That Mastodon album is not anywhere near top 10. This is a hipster list. It's a normie list. Shit, I lost my spot again. Deserves to become a corporal jigsaw quandary so they can see how great Carcass is. I remember in 2019 they said The Satanist by Behemoth was the best album of the 2010s. To be totally fair, I listed it pretty high on my top 100 of the best of 2010s because I do really love that album, but it shouldn't be number 1 at least. But yeah, it was pretty high. So I don't fully disagree with that, but I get why people don't love that album because it is. I guess you could argue that that's an overrated album too. Loudwire is the BuzzFeed of rock and metal. No black metal album was on the list. Carcass is number 1. Mastodon album's not anywhere near top 10. Hipster, I already said that. That's the biggest crime. There's no black metal albums. Where's Mare Cognitum, Asactralahum, or 1914? Archspire too far down. Yeah, compared to these others, y'all, like they could have easily bumped Archspire and a few other albums up too, like Converge, BT Bam. BT Bam was, I cannot get over that BT Bam was lower than Limp Bizkit. That is just morally bankrupt in my opinion. The Gentleman is my number 1 this year. Dude who wrote this article must go. Well, the thing is, it's not just one person. Like each pick came from like it was like a hodgepodge of picks from a bunch of different people on the staff. It looked like. Shit, I lost my spot again. Sam Carter feels uneasy while recording Yellow Jacket. Maybe that's what made it so good. Spiritbox, most modern metal band ever. No 1914 in Carcass, yeah. Although, to be fair, I think that 1914 album is kind of overrated. That might be shocking, but that's just my opinion. I can see why people enjoy that one. Spiritbox is phenomenal live. I believe it. They're very talented. I like them. I just don't think that album deserved to be anywhere near number one. Knocked Loose, yes, which could have easily been on this list instead of a lot of this stuff. Does anyone not simp? I don't use this word lightly, but Limp Bizkit isn't a band. They are a talentless hack. I kind of disagree with that, but that album, if we're just focusing on this album, it doesn't belong on this list at all. Knocked Loose albums leave much to be desired. I've been really enjoying those. Knocked Loose. Perfect shade of a different shade of blue. Awesome album. And the new EP too. Epica should have been, yeah, dude, I would have agreed with that. Wasn't on my list, but Epica could totally see that making a top 45 easily, even a top 20. Like that was a very strong album. 0 through 8 are Psycho Sinner. BuzzFeed would say AC/DC is the best metal of 2021. I believe that, which is depressing. Yeah, I'm almost shocked that that didn't make their list. Carcass should have been top 5, bare minimum. Absolutely. Yeah, Limp Bizkit instead of Carcass. It's just, that feels almost like a troll. BT Bam is too difficult for Loudwire. I mean, they included it, I guess. But yeah, for it to be below those, that's just so wrong. Trying to get clicks. It's true. I mean, they got mine. This could be a very like Machiavellian scheme, and I fell right into it. And now I'm giving them more publicity. So props to them if they're playing 4D chess with me, because I lost. I lost in that case. But hey, it's content, and we're having fun here. And I haven't live streamed in a while. I may be doing a Christmas Eve live stream as well, where I'm planning to rank genres of 2021, the subgenres, to see kind of which subgenre we feel like won the year. And I'm going to let viewers kind of vote with me on that. What else we got? Make Loudwire listen to Hanada Rash so they can hear real metal. BT Bam should be top 10, agreed. Attention to the worst bands, agreed. Over half the album before it was released, which was smart. Like, that's part of why, and they had those big music videos for each of them. Like, that was really smart marketing on their part. That's part of why it's on this list, honestly. But it built a hype that was, you could not meet. Leprous should have been included. I always find Leprous boring, personally, but I would have rather seen that on here than a lot of these. Epica solid, Worn on the list. I love that album. Could have been worse. They could have put Scion on there. Yeah, the list could have been worse. For sure. Like, there were enough things that I was surprised about to give them credit for. So it's not the worst list I've ever seen, but it's the top 10 is terrible. Just terrible. Fun video though. Thank you. 2021 is prog and deathcore. I don't know. Deathcore kind of let me down. Like, it started strong in the first half, but the second half of the year, it was like a wasteland. Like, most of the big deathcore albums that came out in the second half of this year really put me off. But yeah, my deathcore list will be up tomorrow too, so you can see that. Lists are redundant, very strange. Now, Leprous album is fire. Hey, fair enough. Different styles for me. I just find that style kind of boring, I guess. Brand of Sacrifice. Yeah, that would have been a cool pick. Don't know why they think punk rock and metal are the same thing. I mean, I get it, but I do prefer to separate them out. Yeah, Mare Cognitum's awesome. Kin was on the list. I forget where. It was kind of low. It was around like 40 or so, I want to say, if anybody remembers. Which, I don't hate that pick, but I didn't love that album. I did a Whitechapel tier list that included Kin. No, I'm just promoting, sending you all to different videos now that you should check out. Doom and Black Metal is too under for Loudwire, yeah, for real. Sometimes I wonder, too, if some of the big outlets just, like, ignore black metal just because they're afraid that it's going to come out that the band is, let's just say, controversial. And I think you all should know what I mean when I say that when it comes to black metal, and they don't want to get sucked into it. But me, like, I'll cover anyone, even the controversial bands, because I'm just interested in talking about the music. And I'll let the powers that be deal with the shitty stuff that they might be doing behind the scenes. Because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not police. Whatever. Dude, January, is stacked. Really stoked to also share my like most anticipated releases. I've already recorded 3 reviews for January already. I was actually listening to Enterprise Earth today. I don't have Fit for an Autopsy yet, but I'm excited for that because that looks awesome. I have heard the new Under Oath. I have heard a couple of other things. I don't want to spoil it all, but yeah, January's going to be a particularly strong January, I feel like, because January sometimes is not that great, but there's already some big highs and then some letdowns too, where I was expecting an album to be better than it was. But I've already heard, honestly, like most of the January releases, not all of them yet. How was the new Under Oath? I don't want to spoil it. I'm going to wait on my review of that one. Check out the singles though. Singles, very strong. Some good stuff going on there. Enterprise Earth, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I've only listened to it a little bit, so I can't really give like a full opinion on it yet. But it goes hard. I'll say that much. It goes hard. Like it's a extremely heavy record. I was excited when it showed up in my inbox because I was enjoying the singles leading up to that too. New songs from Battle Beast are great to do to cardio. I could see that. There's also like a folk metal album coming out in January that I haven't listened to all the way through yet, but I've enjoyed what I've heard of. There was like no folk metal this year, which is disappointing because I really love folk metal, and there was almost none of it. So I kind of hope we get more of that. Better or worse than Erase Me? I'll just because you're here watching, I'll at least say it's better than Erase Me. In fact, it's funny because that's my tagline for the thumbnail, is that it's better than Erase Me. I won't say anything else other than that. Panopticon not on here. Yeah, that seems like an obvious choice for an outlet like this too, because they are kind of like a hipstery band in a way, even though I like Panopticon. I don't love the album this year, but yeah. Lion's Daughter, yeah, no love at all. Don't worry, I got them covered in somewhere. Good folk metal bands. You're asking me? Man, Ensiferum, especially their earlier albums. Equilibrium. They're dropping a new album next year, so I'm excited for that. They're from Germany. Arguably, Moon Sorrow is kind of more of like a blackened, folk-infused progressive metal band. They're kind of all over the place. Nocturnal Mortem, also in that similar vein, if you don't mind that they have a little bit of a controversial history. I don't know what else. I saw Ensiferum live too. I've actually interviewed both the bassist and the vocalist from Ensiferum, and they were really cool. I actually got to like have a beer with a bass player, and that was really fun. Yeah, Fintroll. Yeah, I'm like blanking, but there's so many good. There's not a ton these days, but there's some good folk metal projects out there for sure. Have you heard of Metal's Back by Dungeon Wolf? That sounds familiar. I haven't listened to that. Worst album I heard was actually, I was on the way to get my booster shot, and my brother-in-law was playing some Black Eyed Peas album. I don't know what album it was. I don't even know, like, do they still drop new albums? But whatever it was easily the worst thing I'd ever fucking heard. Like, it sounded like they were just making shit up as they went. And I normally dislike the Black Eyed Peas, but this, like, really took the cake. Like, I get, even though I hate songs like Boom Boom Boom, I get why people like it. This album, I was genuinely sitting there like, who enjoys this? It doesn't even sound like the band's having fun making it. Oh yeah, Achilles, if that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's Aquilus or Achilles. I did listen to that. That'll probably make my best of December. I wouldn't necessarily call them a folk metal band, but yeah, that was a really solid album. Yeah, Wizard Throne. Is Corey relevant? Come on. Corey Taylor is PT. I'm willing to put some controversy aside, but I can't personally deal with... Yeah, the thing is with Nocturnal Mortem, they are pretty upfront in that they used to be. Like, they absolutely kind of were. But they put out a whole statement a couple of years back where they said that we're no longer aligning with that. We are pushing forward. We're doing our own thing. And... You know, I feel like you have to give leeway for people to grow. Otherwise, it doesn't give people incentive to grow and get better. Loudwire feels like Watch Mojo for hard rock. Panopticon should have been included. Mastodon did something this year. They were on the list. Okay, Black Eyed Peas. Mastodon was kind of more of the same, unlike the new Trivium album that had better things. They do put out new albums and it's awful. Yeah, In-Laws, am I right? I know he also has terrible taste in movies. I make fun of him all the time. I call him a stamp tramp. Like for instance, he loved I what was that movie? I Frankenstein. Like he unironically loved that movie. Real dudes know how much Will I Am sold his soul to the industry. Look at um, this one from People Under the Stairs. Yeah, no, they used to be like legit rappers, and now it's just sad. But hey, get that paper. I say that's what you want to do. Did you mention Aesop Rock? I did. I love Aesop Rock, dude. Like top 10 rappers still in the game right now. Maybe of all time for me personally. I absolutely adore Labor Days, None Shall Pass. Like that guy has put out so many amazing, kind of life-changing albums, I would say. And the new stuff sounds pretty good too. Cardi B, yeah, Cardi B is better than the Black Eyed Peas. Like she has some talent that she puts into her music. I don't particularly like her music, but I think she's more talented than them, or at least puts more effort into it. Ad Nauseum should be on there. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to include that. A lot of people were mad that that wasn't on my death metal list. Black Eyed Peas is why you shouldn't let robots listen to pop music. New Shadow of Intent seems insane. I will have much to say about that album. That's all I'm going to say right now. Stormkeep was great. Yeah, great kind of later year contender. Yeah, no Ad Nauseum. The Impossible Kid. Yeah, dude, The Impossible Kid. I have that on the shelf behind me. I actually own a lot of... I don't buy a lot of hard copies of rap albums, but Aesop is a exception. I buy most of his stuff on CD. Aesop is the GOAT. Yes, he is. He actually lives around here somewhere, either in Oregon or Washington. He even recorded a music video at the barcade downtown that we go to sometimes. I'm blanking on the name for the moment. We almost went there the other day, but we were not feeling so great after our boosters. I was feeling a little sick last night, too. I still do enjoy controversial bands like Inquisition, Hate Force, Nocturnal Mortem, Deathspell. Yeah, all of those. And I've reviewed all those, too. And I reviewed, what was the one this year? I reviewed that Absu album, which, by the way, amazing black metal album. But if the story behind what happened and why the guitarist was kicked out and everything is true, then, you know, fuck Prescriptor McGovern. Like, he seems like a total douchebag. But again, I'm always of the opinion that, like, I wasn't there. There's two sides to every story. I don't know how true that is or if that's accurate or, like, so I don't feel comfortable fully weighing it. But I will, I even said in my review, basically, like, I think that Melissa is a super talented guitar player. I'm going to miss having them in the band. And if that story is true, then that was a shitty thing to go down. But as far as the album goes, I'm not going to lie, it's really solid album. Mr. Trenches, do you like any jazz? Not really like straight up, and I'm losing my voice, so I'm probably going to have to get off of here soon. Not like straight up jazz. Like if it's on, I'll enjoy it. Like if it's on the radio or, you know, Miles Davis, like some of the classics, I'll enjoy that. In fact, by the way, watch the Kenny G documentary. It's really entertaining and it's really interesting. But I like a lot of bands, metal bands that incorporate jazz elements, like Imperial Triumphant. Like that's probably the closest thing to like jazz that I actually really enjoy, and they were fantastic live too. Underrated album, Culted. I think I listened to a little bit of that. Aesop is someone you'd expect to live in Portland, certainly. At the Game Awards, Matt Heafy presented Metal Hell Singer, a new video game where he collaborates with Alyssa of Arch Enemy and Lamb of God. I hope this means we're getting a new song from Trivium. But they just dropped the album. I am interested in that video game, though. That sounds pretty cool. I kind of wish Guitar Hero would come back. Like, I know they oversaturated the market and totally, like, ruined that genre. But I feel like we've had enough space now that if they just brought back like an old school styled one, like as much I have the one where you like plug your real guitar into it, and that's fun, but I miss the like just classic 5-button controller. Like I think people are ready to bring that back again. What do you think about thy catafalque? Cuddle Falk. I never know how to pronounce that album correctly. I liked what I heard. I wasn't super into it. People were mad that it didn't make my best of the month list, but it was pretty good. And it was unique. I'll give it that. Yes, Hail Jazz. Favorite underground album was World Exit by Extreme Cold War. I need to check out Discordance Axis. Yes, I've heard good things too. Cynic, Corpse Rita. Yeah, that Cynic album was pretty decent too. Not something I would re-listen to a lot, but it was entertaining. Isan first showed me how jazz confused with black metal. Yeah, that's a good point. Burial in the Sky. I almost wore that shirt. Let's see. What about Imperial Triumphant? Yeah, I was just saying, like, great band incorporating jazz into their black and death metal. Yeah, how about the black metal album Matt Heafy is supposed to work on? I will be interested to hear that. I hope if he's doing the vocals, I hope he goes for a different style, because I don't like, I especially hate when he tries to do the like Metallica style vocals, but even his like mid-range kind of metalcore bark is really kind of monotonous. Isan, a legend, absolutely. Black metal jazz. Did you hear the new Thank You Scientist? I think I did. I can't even remember. I've listened to so many albums this year. I should have kept count, but I'm willing to bet I listened to like over 1,000 albums this year. Yeah, Guitar Hero 2, man. That was like college for me, man. Like college, I remember a lot of Halo 2 online and parties playing Flippy Cup and Guitar Hero and watching random YTMNDs hooked up to the TV. That was my college experience. And man, do I miss that. That was good times. Piran was good. I actually have an interview. I have multiple interviews with crap, why am I blanking on his name? I pretty much consider him a friend, the vocalist. Very fun guy to talk to. Always has interesting things to say. Isan's working with Matt. Oh yeah, I think I did hear. Yeah, he's working with Isan. That would be cool. Those Isan EPs kind of disappointed me this year. Especially since I really liked Arctis in particular. I think is one of his best albums. Ascites, yeah, I almost forgot about that album. But yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, vocals. Yeah, seriously, I hate those. I'm glad that he's not doing that as much, because those are my least favorite Trivium albums. Like, those are painful to do for the tier list. Any music you love that people don't expect you enjoy? Probably a lot. Honestly, like, especially 90s one-hit wonders is like one of my favorite playlists to put on. So stuff like Breakfast at Tiffany's. What's that? Deep Blue Something, I think. Those like pop rock hits from the 90s. And then pop stuff too. Like, I like Alanis Morissette. I like Fiona Apple, I think goes hard. I love her intensity. What else? I mean, I listen to a lot of like 90s gangster rap. I've been enjoying replaying San Andreas, even though I know that port is like atrocious in terms of some of the graphical elements and glitches. It's nice to revisit that because that was a big part of my college experience too. And I love that music. Stuff like Aesop Rock, Danny Brown from more modern rappers. Tyler the Creator, even though I'm not as into his more like artsy newer stuff. Adele's talented. Don't listen to her a lot. I think Lady Gaga is super talented, even though I don't like listen to full albums from her or anything like that. What else? I mean, if you go through, like, I have an album collection series of live streams. It was in 3 parts, and so you can see my entire collection. There's some surprising stuff scattered throughout that. I'm trying to think of anything else that like really jumps out at me that people. I listen to really everything though. Like, and also I appreciated that Kenny G documentary too, because like my mom used to play Kenny G all the time. Fun fact too, Kenny G's son was briefly in Imperial Triumphant. He isn't anymore, but just an interesting factoid to be aware of. A bunch of other comments. Yeah, a lot of people like Fiona Apple. Fiona's great. Fiona is queen. If we're gonna simp for someone, I'm gonna simp for Fiona. Okay. She's so talented too. Shocked if I told him I was a Gambino fan. Hey, nothing wrong with childish Gambino. I can appreciate that. Dude, that's another like funny thing too, because I liked him. We're talking earlier than Community here. I knew him from Derek Comedy. If anybody remembers the channel Derek Comedy on YouTube, you can look it up. That is where he kind of got his start, was these hilarious YouTube skits that are still like just have me dying on the floor laughing, some of them. Especially there's one where he has to do like a they're doing like a film studies class and he keeps presenting these videos where he's talking shit about his girlfriend who cheated on him. And oh my god, that video kills me every time. There's this moment where he like sits down next to her and like gets right in her face, and the motion he does just it absolutely kills me. So funny. Yeah, Mad Mike with the superior music taste. Yeah, Danny Brown, dude, especially Atrocity Exhibition. That may have been one of my favorite albums of that year, just overall. What was that, like 2019, 2018? Maybe it was even earlier than that. Respect Lady Gaga's talent. Guilty pleasure of mine is Meek Mill. I haven't listened to enough of his stuff to really have an opinion on him. Yeah, what else? I don't know. I mean, I could even like if I look at the bottom of my shelf, that's where like the random pop and rock stuff is. Some people, I mean, people who are familiar with the channel know I love Poppy, but some people might be surprised by that. I didn't really like the new album since it went in a less metal direction, but I just love her story. I love how experimental she is and just the weirdness she brings to it, from the theatrics to the music itself. I think she's really talented and interesting. JID, does that stand for something? I don't know that by acronym. Atrocity Exhibition was 2016. Holy cow. Man, time flies. Like certain albums have been making me feel old yet. Old, like especially looking at like old metalcore albums. I've been joking that like the way my dad felt about talking to me about like Jimi Hendrix is how I am now talking about Poison the Well and As I Lay Dying. Like that's just crazy to think about. Makes me feel so old. I Disagree is amazing. Yeah, that was a really cool album. And I loved the EP too. Eat. Earl Sweatshirt. Yeah, dude, Earl Sweatshirt. Especially his first album. Really liked. I haven't listened to a lot of his newer stuff. Baby Metal rumored to be in hiatus. Yeah, I very nearly included Eat on some of my lists, but ultimately I kind of snubbed them, unfortunately. Not on purpose, but partially just because it was an EP. It ended up getting bumped off by other stronger, longer releases. Let's see. Yeah, Atrocity Expo, it's such a weird album. It's such a ballsy, just weird. It's kind of metal in a way. Like it's very just, it's ugly and weird and all over the place. I like his earlier stuff too. Like I love that track Monopoly from XXX, which is another great album. Or if you want to call it Triple X. Danny Brown's got bars, man. And like he's one of my favorite rappers for I love like the shit talking aspect of rap, especially when it's done creatively. Like if it's just like people going back and forth and there's no creativity behind it, that doesn't interest me. But I love when like people shit on each other and it just becomes like fun to them, where like how can I one up them in a good bar? And Danny Brown has some of the best bars that legitimately make me burst out laughing while I'm listening to the album on just some of the shit that he says. Like he has that one line about like shit smell like Cool Ranch Doritos. Every time I hear that, I'm like, oh my God, so good. I love when he uses that Old Dirty Bastard style voice. Those tend to be my favorite songs of his, but I like that he kind of switches it up. And I appreciate that too, because I'm a huge like Wu-Tang fan in terms of their earlier stuff, at least. Cradle Filth's Damnation in a Day came out in 2003. I know that was one, doing that tier list too. I was like, holy shit, like these albums are ancient by modern standards now, some of them. Earl's new stuff is probably his best. I'll have to check it out. Just dropping to say I appreciate your content. It's very much appreciated. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate you. I appreciate anyone who watches me and takes the time. I mean, looking at these, I hate that we're just staring at this screen right now, but it's whatever. People are sticking around. The fact that we've kept good concurrent viewers and we've already got 590 playbacks in just an hour, like that's pretty fucking rad. I'm thankful every day for that. Even though some days I get stressed because again, like I'm kind of upset that I'm dropping my best of the year late. I'm worried that it's gonna not get as many views, but hopefully y'all will prove me wrong. But I have been stressing that a little bit. Toxicity in Blackwater Park, 20 years old. Dude, like Blackwater Park doesn't give me that feel as much because Opeth just by design feels like an older band to me. But to think of System of a Down as a band with a classic album that's 20 years old and then another album that I love their self-titled that's even older than that. Like that's wild. Like to look back on these new metal albums especially and realize like, oh my god, like the self-titled Slipknot is like my Are You Experienced? That just feels wrong. Let's see. This is fun. It's fun just chatting with all. Hopefully y'all are still enjoying it. I know people are starting to slowly drop off, which is fine because I know we've kind of passed the main topic, but it's good just chatting with y'all. Let's see. Jane Doe. Yeah, I know. Jane Doe was another one that came up this year. I was like, oh my god. Finally listened to your You Come Before You because of your recommendation. I played it for like a month straight. Yeah, dude, that album. See, those comments, man, that makes me feel so good. Because that album's so good. And again, like, it's all about, like, I want people to come to the channel, and that's why I changed the banner. Like, I want people to come to the channel. Maybe they're brought in because of something they're already familiar with, but I always want them to leave with something new that they absolutely love. That is my number one goal. And yes, I'm trying to get views up. I'm trying to get retention up. I want to get ad revenue up to, help out my family and everything. But at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most to me is, are people leaving the channel with the intended value that I'm trying to bring to them? I will never like rap, it's trash. See, I feel like that's a generalization, man. Like, I used to feel that way, but trust me, there is rap out there that I'll bet you would enjoy. There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit to sift through. But I mean, metal's the same way. Rock's the same way. There's a lot of shit in metal to sift through to find the really good stuff. What is your most expensive record? I got kids, y'all. I got kids, so I don't spend a lot of money on me, especially on records. That's why I buy CDs instead of records. I'd say probably the most I've spent on actually, you know what? I think actually, even though it's not a record, I think I spent more on this Cult of Fire album than anything else. Because you could only get it like direct from the band, and you have to get it from where are they? They're in like the Czech Republic, and so shipping is a nightmare. So I think I spent like around $40 just on this CD. And I don't really regret it because it's kind of a cool, unique packaging. It's hard to fit on the shelf in any normal way, but yeah, I don't have any like really expensive stuff in my collection because quite frankly I can't afford it. Earl stuff, more refined, more enticing. I'll have to check it out. It's Danny Brown from Chicago. Is he? He might be. I'm forgetting now. My friend in Chicago got me into him. Blackwater Park, one of the first metal bands I truly loved. I think you all can tell. Yeah, clearly. You should check. Fuck. I hate when the chat jumps like that. You should check Billy Woods. Okay. Check them out. Or him out. Or her out. Saint Anger, older than Master of Puppets was when Saint Anger released. That's crazy. Lots of metalheads are Wu-Tang. Dude, because Wu-Tang goes fucking hard, man. Like, Wu-Tang is like one of the most metal rap groups out there. Like, you turn on that, and I have I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but right over here, and often you can't see it, but the 36 Chambers record is there on the wall for good reason, because it's one of my all-time favorite rap albums. And just from that opening, just that dirty beat that comes in and bring the motherfucking ruckus, like, how can you not bang your head to that, man? Like, I bang my head to those songs just as much as I do like a Cannibal Corpse album. It is so hard. It's awesome. Bolt Thrower, 20 years old. Wow. Gore Guts, Wisdom to Hate. We're closer to the year 2100 than we are to the start of World War II. Wow. System of Down's closest thing we'll get to a new single. Yeah. I'm fine with them not reforming, though, because I feel like they're all mentally in just such different places. And I kind of prefer when a band hangs it up at the top of their game as opposed to destroying their legacy with album after album like Metallica. I'd even argue Slayer to an extent. Like, I respect when a band like the Dillinger Escape Plan is still dropping some of the best albums of their career and they just hang it up. Like, I prefer that because then they really leave a legacy. And it leaves space for new bands to step in, too. Which is what we've been complaining about with this list, is there's all this legacy act bullshit. It would be nice to see some of these bands retire so that there's no choice but to start including some smaller bands. Opeth, Red Dead, Typo, and Megadeth. Remember hearing Aerials on the radio when it was new. Dude, I remember going to the store on a road trip, and my dad said he would buy me one CD, and I was looking at Toxicity and Iowa. And I think I ended up getting Toxicity, and then I bought Iowa later. But that was a tough decision. I was at like Target or something way back in the day, like when those were out. Did those come out the same year? I sometimes forget that. That must have been a wild year. Good music in every... Yeah, there's good music in every genre, bad music in every genre. That's just the way it goes. Even country, which is probably like my least favorite genre, there's good country music, like Johnny Cash. Destruction, The Antichrist, and Creator's Violent Revolution are also 20 years old. I landed on an album this year that was like 30 years old. I forget what it was, but I was like, man, jeez Louise. Elect the Dead was pretty good solo from Serge. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that interested in what they're doing. How are you able to be a family guy and have a YouTube channel? Feels like a logistic nightmare. I mean, it's just... That's part of why I don't do the interviews as much anymore. This started as like a podcasting thing, which I love talking to bands because it's so much fun and it's so interesting. But the coordination piece and the length of time too, because I do like 2-hour interviews, like Joe Rogan style, and it just was not sustainable really. And so when I switched to like, I can script a video in between doing work at the office, so it's not interfering with family time. When I'm on like a break, and I'm always listening to music. So I'm doing work, I'm listening to the album, I'm gathering my thoughts, I'm putting notes onto the side. Then by the time I get home, like in the morning, like right after I drop off my one of my younger daughters at the bus stop, I'll hop in here, I'll get my script up, I'll record for, depending on what the video is, anywhere between, like 10 and 20, sometimes 30 minutes if I'm doing like a best of Bandcamp, some sort of longer thing. And then I'll take that recording to work with me. And again, on like my break or whatever, I will edit the video and I'll throw it up. And then like right now, like live streams, anytime that I know the family's going to be gone doing something, which isn't often that they're not with me, I'll just jump on. And I happen to know in advance, like this month of sometimes that's going to happen. I was originally going to be recording something else during this time, but that fell through. So somebody posted this list on Discord and I was like, oh, that'll be fun. And I get to interact with y'all. But yeah, that's how I do it. Like it's a lot of time management and just getting creative with when you do things. But being able to record short videos has been like the lifesaver. Where was I in here? Cult of Fire, amazing, underrated for sure. Wu-Tang, legendary. Old Public Enemy, hell yeah. Rage Against Machine, Run the Jewels, Company Flow. MF Doom, dude. Rest in peace, man. I love me some MF Doom. All's argue that Straight Outta Compton is a metal album that just happens to be rap, more or less. It goes hard. Hopefully Periphery will drop. Dude, I'm pretty certain we'll get a new Periphery, especially with the downtime from the pandemic. I'll bet they've had even more time, but I feel like they've been pretty regular with their rotation in terms of when they turn out albums. So yeah, that's definitely... I do have a most anticipated of 2022 video that will be going out after I put out all of my best of the year videos, but it's already recorded. And that's the other thing too. Like I record a lot in advance. Like I already have like maybe 10 videos just sitting in the queue. They're recorded, they're edited, they're done. I've just spaced them out in terms of when I drop them. And that gives me room then if I get too busy and I don't have time, I still have videos that I can put up. Once Iron Maiden, Priest, Ozzy, Metallica are done, I feel like they'll open up a lot more chances for more underground bands. I agree. I think it'll be. I think it's better that way, and we can still enjoy the classics. You know, when it comes like if I want to listen to Slayer, I'm going to throw on Seasons of the Abyss, Seasons in the Abyss. I'm going to throw on Rain and Blood. You know, I'm not. I'm not going to throw on their latest album because I just don't care, to be quite honest. Just went through the list, and it's an absolute joke. I'm not surprised Loudwire still has the most basic of taste in metal. I get more value out of punk rock MBA than this. I like Finn. I think he's a cool guy. I think he has some spicy takes, especially more lately. Now that he started streaming on Twitch in particular, he's been dropping some spicy stuff. But I like Finn. I think his videos are entertaining, and he makes good points. I don't always agree with him, but yeah, definitely more value than that. In fact, I'm wondering if right now, like, Finn is streaming this same list on Twitch, because I could see him having some hot takes on some of this stuff. He definitely will not agree with Limp Bizkit being in number 4. Fuck that shit. I will be interested to see who can actually defend that. Let's see. Mad Villains, Mad Villainy. Johnny Cash is a legend. Can't go wrong with Johnny Cash. Again, though, like the ultimate winner here is Loudwire, because I'm here promoting their page and sending people to their page, and now they're going to get a bunch of extra traffic and ad revenue with all these toxic, just invasive ads everywhere. So I contest that at the end of the day, Loudwire wins. As much as I'm dunking on their list, they won. They won in the end. That's just how the internet works, unfortunately. Generic Snipes, they had the guts to not put on Carcass. Yes, seriously, man. I can't believe no Carcass. I'm a little surprised At the Gates isn't on here, too. Like, I'm not upset that it's not on here, but it just seems like an obvious choice for, again, a list that's just all about, like, the big legacy acts. But, I don't know. No Mare Cognitum. That doesn't surprise me at all, but I could see that. I'll spoil that I almost did include Mare Cognitum on my black metal list, but it's not on there. So I think a lot of people are going to comment, why is Mare Cognitum not on here? So it's like, part of my thinking too was like, you know, everybody already knows Mare Cognitum, so I don't feel as inclined to include it, because I'd rather expose them to maybe something different that I liked even a little bit more. Music taste ranges from Chris Isaac, Tears for Fears, Grave, Carcass, Robert Johnson, Joy Division, KRS-One, MF Doom, Chelsea Wolfe, John Coltrane, Chet Baker, Kruenbin? I don't even know how to pronounce that. That's awesome, man. Like, that's how I am too. Like, I love everything. I wish I had more time is what it always comes down to listen to more stuff. Because like I said, I barely listened to any non-metal this year just because just how YouTube works, like I have to constantly be on the pulse with the new metal stuff, and so it just doesn't leave a lot of time for me to listen to anything else. But in my spare time, I often throw on Blink-182, other pop punk stuff. 4 Years Strong, I'm a big fan of. Like, that gets me super pumped. Taking Back Sunday, we were just talking about in the Discord. I'll throw on stuff like that as kind of like a palate cleanser. And better songs to like get me in a good mood too, usually. Excited for new Venom Prism. Yeah, that single was probably one of their best yet, so I'm pretty stoked. I'm hoping this will be the album where they really, really show their true stripes. I'm going to get crucified by most anticipated album, but it's Dominion by Skillet. Hey, never apologize for what you're interested in, what you like. That's totally fine. Definitely Mare Cognitum. Metallica fan, I'd be happy if I never heard another Metallica album. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Loudwire wins yet sucks. I don't know. Did anyone look at Metal Sucks lists? But honestly, I don't even want to give them... I don't want to give them that. They're probably my least favorite outlet overall. And I don't even want to like give them attention. So forget I even said it. Stormkeep, I also thought was decent. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Stormkeep right now. Look, Crapwire has an app that's ridiculous. Be ready for Loudwire to release a tribute album for Chocolate Starfish by Limp Bizkit, just like how Kerrang did with American Idiot. All the small... You know, ironic... I guess I'm speaking of Alanis Morissette. I guess it's not really ironic by definition, but all the small things, as big as that song is, that is probably my least favorite Blink-182 song. I hate that song. It's really annoying. Which a lot of people say Blink-182 is annoying in general. I disagree with that. I love Blink-182, but I do not like all the small things. Um, there are much better songs on that album. And honestly, I think Take Off Your Pants and Jacket is even better than Enema of the State, even though it's not as maybe famous. Compare the Origins demo of Evanescence to The Bitter Truth, and I noticed they were more driven, although they sounded more like a grunge band. Yeah, I could see that. Again, I didn't hate that album. Some people did. I know the Metal Meltdown kind of took a dump on it. I kind of enjoyed listening to it, but top of the year, no, not even close. Yeah, I can see that happening. I'm out, man. Hope you have a great day. Yeah, you too, Paranoid Typhoon. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I think people are starting to really drop off now. Metal Sucks really sucks, yeah. I'm going to stop even saying their name because they just annoy me. Oh, God, I hate everything Blink-182. No, bruh. Give it a shot. Give it a shot, man. Throw on Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. It's a good time. Simple Plans are truly more annoying than Blink-182. I don't hate Simple Plan, but I never really got into them. Family Reunion is the best Blink-182 song. Yeah. It's Christmas Eve and I only wrap 2 fucking presents. Still an advocate for Ultra Pop. Yes! I considered including that album on my top 10, but it's like I justified not including it in that it's like not even really a metal album, so I didn't. But damn, is that a good album. It's one of the most interesting albums of the year. If I did a most surprising albums of the year, it would definitely be on there too. Yeah, Ultra Pop, banger. That also on the shelf here. I'm not going to start digging through my collection again. I did enough of that. I did like 6 hours of that all said and done, maybe even longer, like 10 hours. Do I listen to synthwave? A little bit, not regularly, but it's good like background music. What's that guy that? There's a bunch of people that do it on Bandcamp, but there was one guy who kind of got big, and even the metal sites were promoting his stuff for a little while, but I can't remember. I can picture the cover in my head of that album, but can't think of what it was. I also listen to like not as much anymore, but when what's it called? The like Skrillex genre. When that got big, and I know that dubstep. I know when that got big, like that's not true dubstep if you ask like the dubstep historians out there. But I was pretty into that. I was listening to a lot of Skrillex, Knife Party, Bass Nectar. I even saw the Mouse guy. see, you can tell I haven't listened to this stuff in a while. But Dead Mouse, I saw Dead Mouse at Lollapalooza, and they put on a pretty cool show for a DJ. So yeah, that might be surprising to some people that I enjoy that style of music. Do I listen to any Misfits? Not a ton. I'm not super into that. I do like punk though, and I'm talking both pop punk and old school punk. I think my favorite like old punk band is Dead Kennedys, which was fun to hear the vocalist on the Ministry album. That's the best song on the album by far, is the one with Jalo on it. I like early Green Day. I don't like the newer Green Day like at all. Maybe PUP. What's PUP? Jimmy Eat World is legit. Yeah, that big album was kind of a classic. Best Blink album is whichever one doesn't have the rock show. Yeah, that's another song that's probably the worst song on the album, even though it's like the most played song on the album. I feel like their lead singles are often their worst songs on the album, and I like the deeper cuts. Like on Enema of the State, my favorite song is probably Going Away to College, and on Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, it might be Roller Coaster, or maybe I'm forgetting all those songs on there. I miss the days too where you had those 90s like kind of dude comedies that are like problematic now, and they would have the pop punk soundtrack. Like we live for those movies. Like American Pie and Van Wilder and all that stuff. Like man, those were the days. I get why we don't make those movies anymore, and maybe we shouldn't, but it's still fun to go back and revisit them because that was just such a time capsule of a period. I enjoy Drunk Metal Meltdown reviews, particularly this approach where he reads books that look like magazines and is interrupted by us. Yeah, he's been going in on those intros lately. But really, as I disagree with that though. Like, I think he's known, especially because his whole tagline is the metal meltdown. Like, that's kind of the joke. Is like he's almost like your movie sucks, where you sort of know going in that he's gonna have a critical opinion on stuff. But actually, I'd argue that I think he likes more stuff than he dislikes. It's just that the reviews that where he's positive don't do as well, and not as many people see him. So his most viewed videos are the ones where he really takes a shit on something. And I blame the audience for that, not him, because he's putting up plenty of videos where he gives positive reviews of things. It's just they don't tend to do as well. It's just an unfortunate factor of the system, which is why lately, just to be transparent and real, I've been doing, even if I'm doing a positive review, I'll sometimes do like a negative twist on the thumbnail just to get people in the door. It's been working okay too. Shadows and Mirrors is my favorite synth dark. I'd rather listen to NSYNC than Simple Plan. I mean, NSYNC, they got some talent. Dubstep better than Nightcore. I could probably agree with that. Skim through crap wireless. Now I need to go to the throne. Yes, seriously. Sum 41. Best pop punk. I should do a pop punk tier list. I don't think that many of my audience would watch it, though. I would love doing that, though, because that was like a big part of high school and even late middle school for me was all that pop punk. So I have a lot of opinions on that. Sum 41's okay. Their newer stuff was not really for me. Mostly listen to jazz, fusion, prog rock, post-rock, neo-folk, hip-hop outside of metal, trying to get into country. There's some good stuff to be found. Even like some of Shania Twain's stuff I kind of like. Or Sheryl Crow. Sheryl Crow has some jams in my 90s playlist for sure. My mom loved all that pop country stuff, which I hated at the time, but I've kind of grown to appreciate some of it. Just seen Bad Religion and Alkaline last month. Wow. How was that? I do love me some Alkaline Trio and Bad Religion. I find a lot of Bad Religion's lyrics to be kind of... Both of them, I guess. I find some of their lyrics to be kind of cringy now at just the stage of my life that I'm in now. But they're still fun and I still enjoy them. Watch Road Trip. Yeah, dude. Road Trip with fucking Tom Green in it. And one of the guys from Robot Chicken. I forget his name off the top of my head. And also that super smoking hot blonde that used to be in like every movie. She was in the Butterfly Effect too. I had such a crush on her back in the day. Don't cancel me, bro. I'm just a man. Sum 41. Oh, man. Might as well start bumping POD. Dude, don't talk shit about Incubus, man. Like, I know Incubus sucks now, but legit Science, Make Yourself and Morning View are like the trilogy of greatness of the 2000s, if you ask me. They were at a time my favorite band. Number one for a long time. And then they dropped Like Grenades. And that ended. And from then on, I was very upset with them. I hate to say it, but it was when the bassist left or got kicked out or whatever, and even though he was apparently kind of a dick, like their sound really changed after he left. And apparently he did a lot of like the writing. So I'm like, well, you know, sometimes like the creative people are assholes, and he might have been a driving force, like it or not. Orville Peck, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Marty Robbins. I've just become aware of Orville Peck because he did that little mini documentary on Netflix recently that was pretty interesting on pop country. That twist is actually very clever. Which twist? I lost track of what we were talking about with that. I'd watch that for sure. Metal Meltdown is that one cousin you always want is Big Brother who is not afraid to talk shit and would always get you a drink. Absolutely. He's a good dude. I like a lot of newer pop punk. Yeah, it's kind of having a little bit of a resurgence. The Wonder Years, Neck Deep, Knuckle Puck, The Story So Far. A lot of those bands go a little while back. I wouldn't even necessarily consider them new either. Like, Story So Far, that big album they had with like the snakes coming out of his eyes or whatever it is, that's my favorite one. That came out probably, I don't know, like mid 2010s, early to mid 2010s, somewhere around there. I was still living in Memphis, I think, when that came out. Have you heard the new Void Sphere? I think so, but I don't remember anything about it right now. I can recognize Metal Meltdown says what he thinks and gives you awesome arguments whether he likes things or not. Yeah, I agree, but like people in the comments act like he's just a dummy, which is just not fair. Like I see some of the comments he gets and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like I don't get near. I'll shit on the same album he does, and I won't get nearly as much hate because I think he's unfortunately kind of like become almost like a Howard Stern kind of figure where people don't even listen to him; they just immediately assume what he's going to say or what he said. Amy Smart, yes. Oh my gosh, dude. What a babe. What a babe. I'm sorry. I don't mean to, be that guy and be a simp like the Ginger fans out there, but there was a time where she was the apple of my eye, that Amy Smart. I think I even looked her up not too long ago and I was like, yep, still looking good. Um, Very likable too on screen. She was in Crank as well. Or Crank 2. She was in one of those. I had a bad taste of country in my younger years, especially with trash like Toby Keith, Florida Georgia Line, Jason Aldean, and Luke Bryan. Yeah, my mom used to listen to a lot of stuff that I still don't like. She loved that like Frick. He's like, believe it or not, like the number one selling artist now, who has like even topped the Beatles, is why can't I think of his freaking name? Like the big country singer, Garth Brooks. He's like if you look up number one selling artist of all time, I believe he is number one now. Not a big fan of Garth Brooks as a person or as an artist. I like the Incubus song that was on Halo 2. Yeah, dude, that was banger. It's unfortunate that it's not in the remaster because I don't think they have like the rights to it anymore or something. Metal Trenches finds someone hot. Simp confirmed. I know, right? God forbid I find someone attractive. I try to be equal opportunity too. Like me personally, I'm not into guys, but if I see a really hot guy like that Khal Drogo guy, Aquaman, like I might kiss him. I might kiss him. It's all right. It's all right to say that too. So I try to be fair about it at least. So I'm not just what's the word? Just using women as objects. Crow left of the murder. It was awesome. It was a good album, but it wasn't one of their best. It was probably their last solid album. Amy Smart was so freaking hot and cranked. I know. I bet we're thinking of the same scene too, but we're not going to talk about that here. Stifler's mom greater than Amy Smart. I will say she is hilarious because she is in all of those. Dang it! Like the guy from This Is Spinal Tap who does all those mockumentaries. She's in a lot of those, and she is fucking hysterical. She is so funny, like underrespected, hysterical, and I love when I see her in stuff. She's particularly in Best in Show is probably one of my favorites. The dog show one. That movie is so funny. Is Tickets to My Downfall by MGK classified as pop punk? They try to say it is. That's like the new iteration of pop punk, but it's hard for me as somebody who grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s with the like golden era of pop punk to call that pop punk. It's like Xeroxed pop punk is the way I'd put it. Like the elements are there, but it's just like a shadow of its former self. And every time you like Xerox the Xerox, it gets more and more faded. That's how I feel about that. Plus MGK is showing himself to be a super crybaby and ego freak when it comes to his shows. Pretty excited for Voivod. Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Stifler's mom fell off. I'm excited for Voivod and Immolation. Yes, Stifler's mom. Eurotrip. Yeah, Eurotrip too. Joanna loves Eurotrip. In terms of country, I'm one of those assholes who's only really into outlaw hipster stuff. Yeah, there's some good stuff. Eurotrip again. Have you heard of Foreground Eclipse? They have a pretty strong discography if you want to check them out. I have not heard of them, so I'll have to give them a look. Try Me and That Man. Yeah, it's also with the guy from Behemoth, Nurgle, right? I haven't really I think I listened to one song and I was like, it's fine. Yeah, Nurgle's in there. Stifler greater than Amy Smart. Dude, Stifler is another actor that I wish would get more work because he's in a few movies that I really liked him in. I'd like to see more of him in. I liked him in Role Models. I thought he was really funny in that. And I thought pairing him up with Paul Rudd was like perfect. And then he's in this movie called Goon, where he's like this like kind of like really sweet but meat-headed kind of slow hockey player that's just in the game to get into the fights basically and protect the other players. And he actually does a really good performance in that. Like I think he's a better actor than people let on. He just doesn't get work. It's a shame. I did see like a year ago, I saw a trailer for what looked like almost like a Dexter looking kind of show or movie that he was the lead in, but I haven't seen anything about that since then. So if anybody's seen that, knows where to find it if it's out, I'd be interested in watching that. Nurgle, sorry, MGK died in 2018, murdered by Eminem. I know, seriously, he got wrecked. Although this is like a sad moment in history too, where for the longest time, like, I love Eminem's early stuff, grew up on it. I think he is like one of the best wordsmiths out there, but I think he's fallen off hard too. Like, I think Rap God was almost like the pinnacle of his talents. Everything since then has just been a no from me, dog. It's been so bad. And he did that cringe freestyle was that the Grammys a couple years ago, where he was like doing that freestyle about Trump, and it was just so lame. Like, he's somebody who can make fun of anybody, and whether I like the person he's making fun of or not, he makes me laugh. Like, he used to have bars about Bill Clinton and all that stuff that were just hysterical because they were inventive and creative and well put together. And then he does this like lame, just like, Trump's stupid, bleh, yeah, like, no. Like, you don't get a pass just because like everybody in the audience agrees with you right now. Like, you still need to bring something. Yeah, new Eminem sucks, but he absolutely did own MGK, which is no surprise. So MGK's a hack. I was giving him a pass. MGK I gave a pass for a long time. Although I wish he would stop acting too, because they keep putting him in movies. It is such a travesty that, okay, SLC Punk is like one of my favorite like indie movies of all time. And then they did a terrible sequel that was just terrible on its own. But then they let MGK be one of the leads in it, and he is just so terrible in it. Just awful. The actor who played Stifler was also good in Final Destination. Yeah, I forgot he was in that. And The Dukes of Hazzard. I don't think I ever ended up watching that Dukes of Hazzard movie. Man, Jessica Simpson back in the day, too. Algol, the Asios Key is great. To check that out. Can't forget that Venom song. Venom, Venom, Venom. That was a gift from the gods, though, because just memes for days when it came to that. Excellent. That booty heavy duty like diarrhea, MM 2018. I know, right? He has fallen off so hard. It's really sad. I don't know what happened. I agree. I haven't liked an Eminem album since Marshall Mathers LP. I really like Marshall Mathers LP too. I know some people didn't like that album, but I think that is an all-around like one of his, I would put that in his top 5, maybe top 4 albums. You can't beat Slim Shady LP and Marshall Mathers LP. Just you can't. But it came about as close as you could. I liked Recovery as well. Eminem's first 3 to 4 albums. Marshall Mathers 2 did somewhat enjoy, but that's about it. MGK listened to Black Flag, Green Day, and Rise Against, and he thinks he's punk. I know, right? He wants so hard to be. That's the thing, is he tries too hard, but like not enough at the same time. I don't know. Good for him for getting with Transformers girl, though. Megan Fox. I mean, I can't say that I've done that, so there's that. I agree with Limp Bizkit being number 4 on the worst albums. Dude, they should be... I wouldn't put them at number 1, because I had enough fun with that album that I have albums that I hated more than that. But yeah, they should be on the worst, for sure. As a leftist myself, Eminem's Trump freestyle reeks so much of white liberal Hillary supporter vibes. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I'm like, how can you even be like a Trump hater and think this is good? Like, there's just no universe where this is good. It's like, just because somebody says something that you agree with doesn't automatically make it worth your time. People seem to forget that. Bulletproof Monk. Oh, man. That's a flashback. Him also try Kilter Sax Driven Death with Imperial Triumphant Drum. Yeah, dude, Kenny Gralski, I think I'm saying his name right. one of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever talked to. It was such a pleasure to talk to him online and then to sit down with him and the rest of the band in a booth before they played their set. And so talented, man. Kenny is super talented. Probably one of the most talented, maybe underrated metal drummers out there. And he does so much stuff. Like if you look up Kenny's discography on like Metal Archives, he's been in so many projects and played in bands where he wasn't even in the band, but he'd like recorded something with them. Kenny's the man, dude. He's awesome. I think there's an Eminem and Limp Bizkit collab song called Turn Me Loose that was meant to appear on Significant Other. That sounds familiar. I may have even heard that back in the like Limewire days where we would get that stuff. Venom by Little Sims, greater than Venom by Eminem. I could believe that. Blackwater Rust, I'm glad we're on the same page politically. Let's not get too into politics here. This is a place where I want everyone to feel welcome, from the MAGA hat wearers to the full-on leftists. Like, I want this to be a place where we can all come together and see each other as people and have our shared love of metal music. That's what it's all about to me. I'm a leftist as well, and hating Trump was just a trendy thing to do. Absolutely. Like to call Trump like one of the worst political figures of all time, to me just ignores history. Like I don't love the man by any means, but like there's stuff going on right now with the current administration that is just exactly the same stuff that was just happening, but nobody's talking about it because Orange Man bad and he's gone. So everything's good now, right? That's how it works, right? But that's enough of that's all I'll say about that. I think I'm just anti-administration at this point. Honestly, I thought half of the list was pretty solid and the other half pretty bad. Yeah, there were some solid picks on it. I'll give it credit for that. Like I said, it's not the worst list I've ever seen. My thumbnail is just a means to get people in, and it seems to be working pretty well based on the playback so far. But yeah, it's far from the worst thing I've ever seen. Kenny's even played with John Zorn. Yes, he has. I don't get the Pretty Reckless hate. Solid band. Yeah, maybe not top 10, but yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like, opinions are opinions. I'm not going to hate on anyone for enjoying any of the albums on this list. It's just my personal opinion is there's a lot on here that does not belong in a top 45. Not even close. It's about that time. Great stream. FOI. Great chat. Peace and blessings. Thank you, the Condor JC. If that's how I'm supposed to say that. Thanks for watching. We'll do Icarus. We'll try to stay away from politics. Yeah, dude, it's just a bad time. Although I feel like we've been doing a pretty good job of it on Discord. Make metal great again, trenches. Dude, I know, I think you were the one who joked too when I was updating my banner that I should just make it that. Which is funny because in a way that sort of is, like, in a nutshell, the purpose of the channel, in a way. But I know enough people will be rubbed the wrong way by that tagline that I don't want to turn people away at the door, so I'm not going to do that. Truth. No sensitive subject, guys. Now let's talk about religion. I know, right? So those Catholics. Yeah, no, we're not going to go there. John Zorn is awesome. Naked City. You know, people keep telling me that, and I still have not dug into that. I particularly get chewed out because I did a Mike Patton list, but I did not include any of the John Zorn albums because I hadn't listened to them. And people are like, dude, you shouldn't have even done a list. And I'm like, probably fair. So, yeah, I need to dig into that. All right, well, I'm going to go get some dinner. Hope you have fun, guys. Yeah, thanks, Astafel, the Rider of Black. What a great name. Thanks for joining us. Man, concurrent viewers just keep going up and down. Like, I keep thinking we're done, but people coming. We've been doing over 2 hours now. I probably should get off. You know that I don't generally do the live stream with the mask on, and it's partially because there's a dent. Well, first of all, it's hot, but luckily it's a little colder in here, so I'm not sweating like I normally do. But the bigger issue is there's like a dent in this mask right about here, and it pokes into my forehead, and the hat especially like presses it into my forehead. And by the time I take it off, there's like a big red dent in my forehead. It's like literally pushed in. It's like I have a soft spot. Emilio Giles Alcantar, enjoy Vask Tech. I don't know what that means, my dude. Is that a band? Is that an album? You saying something else? I don't know. Is that a John Zorn related comment? I think we're winding down here. We hit the end of the chats. We're way past talking about this list. If you didn't watch the whole thing, by all means, please do go back and watch it from beginning to end. That watch time really helps me out. In fact, I'm wondering now. I hope I had this. No, don't exit stream. I hope I had this. I think I defaulted it to be monetized, but no! Oh, I'm such a fool. What a fool I've been. Shit. Oh my god, I can't believe I did that. Well, there you go. I did this whole thing. It was fun anyways, though. But it's nice to like get some extra help for my time. Dang, I can't believe I did that. I usually remember to do that. I thought I had it defaulted to that. Anyways, TPEGs, I'll be posting my list on YouTube in January. Cool, man. Yeah. I like it when people wait closer to the actual end of the year, but people jump on it so soon, and I wish we could have like a agreed upon ceasefire until at least like mid-December, and then we can start dropping stuff. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, if you want to help me out, especially since I forgot to monetize this at the beginning, if you're not joining the Discord, which I'm not the Discord, if you're not joining the PayPal, which, but not PayPal either, gosh darn it, the Patreon. My lists are up early on Patreon. Even just $1 a month will get you access to those. They're all up there now. So if you want to do that, you can. But barring that, if you can't do that or you don't want to do that, what you can do to help is after you leave, put this on again from the beginning and just let it play, even if you're not watching it, because that'll still help me out anyways, because ads will play and it just helps me out. Again, not the most important thing to me. I don't make a ton off of this channel. By no means could I make a living off of this, but every little bit helps, especially this time of year when you got 3 kids and Christmas presents and all sorts of stuff going on. So yeah, thank you. Quest is live. Oh, shoot. All right, well, then it makes sense. This would be the time to get off. Yeah, people are really dropping off now. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching, and appreciate you all. Check out my lists. I'll put some video clicks on the end for those who make it to the end, and yeah, see you in the trenches.